Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our last guest of the day currently stars as the cranky, curmudgeon-y, clarinet-playing, totally not a loser of a next-door neighbor, Mr. Squidward Q, Tentacles, in SpongeBob SquarePants, the Broadway Musical. This remarkable show is rightfully tied for the most Tony nominations this year with a total of 12, including Best Musical and, for our guest here, Best Featured Actor in a Musical. I'm so excited he's here. He's fantastic. The show is fantastic. Gavin Lee, everybody. Come on. Come on. Oh. Look at him. Already an honorary recipient of the Golden Pineapple Award.
See, look at that. It was in the green room. I thought, it's got to come on stage with me.
This prestigious award can only be...
Didn't realize this was here, so we're we're milking it now.
No, it's perfect, though. That's why you're here. Gavin, thank you so much for hanging out with us and being here.
Thank you. This is very fun. We just had a random... This week we have a random Thursday matinee, so I've just came from a Thursday matinee.
Oh, my goodness. And rush right over here?
Run down here, do this, and back for a 7 o'clock show.
My God, why did you say yes to us?
I'm crazy.
What? Well, let me tell you this. Congratulations on everything, man. All the nominations on this phenomenal show. It is just fantastic. How are you doing? How's Gavin doing right now?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I mean, the show, myself and the show have just done amazingly in the awards season. Mm-hmm. Most nominated show of the whole season. Yeah. I was nominated for the same sort of awards 11 years ago now. So when I came over here with Mary Poppins. So just to be kind of back in the limelight, or back with the whole awards month, which is really crazy. It's lots of cocktail parties and luncheons and interviews and things like that. It's all kind of surreal and like a whirlwind. And then come June the 11th, the day after the Tonys, it's like, and it's kind of depressing, but also a major relief. Yeah. Because you know for the next 5 weeks of shows before the Tonys, there's voters in every night. Yeah. So the producers are like, it'd be really great if we can have full cast. Like, even if you're feeling a bit ill, it'd be great if you're in, because we really want the voters to see, you know, the original Broadway cast. Not that we haven't got amazing understudies and swings, but, you know, they like it to be the kind of the opening night cast. And so it's a bit of a pressure, but it's also so much fun. I mean, just the other day, an email came through, oh, you've been invited to the Tony nominee dinner at Anna Wintour's house. And you're like,
where?
Exactly, yeah. You're like, oh, I don't have a Vogue suit. What am I going to wear? I can't wear my Target suit. I'm joking, I don't have a Target suit.
That's pretty incredible. I love that idea of, like, you're on Broadway, you're in one of the most popular, amazing shows. There's already somewhat of a bit of pressure, and now we just crank it up to 11. Now the voters are in every night. You've got to be there every night. You've got to be on your A game.
It's just great. It's just great. It's just an energy in the show every night, because there could be someone out there that might give us a vote. But then, as I say, come the rest of June, it's going to be great just to do our show. We'll be going into summer. We'll get all the summer crowds as well. It's such a fun show to do.
Yeah, oh, it's so much fun. I got a million questions I want to get to, and there's one I'm going to jump ahead, because you brought up this voter thing. You've got a phenomenal number in the second act, because your big number. It's unbelievable. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I was curious, just in general, getting up to that point, you know, you've been in this game for a while. It's not your first rodeo, but do you get an anxiety or a nervousness leading up to that? Is that amplified? Does that even exist for you, knowing who's in the room? What is it like the moments before that night?
No, there's loads of actors that I've come across over the years that do not want to know who's in the audience. Yeah. I love it. Especially when you go into a long-running show. I mean, I did Mary Poppins in total for 8 years. Wow. So anything at the top of the show that could give me a slight buzz as to why I'm doing the show today. So even if it's like, oh, my babysitter's dog's walker is in, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing it for them, you know. That was when I was in the really long run. But now, I mean, we still just get lots of celebrities coming in, and I find it's always such a buzz. And they always put them, like, in the third row, so you see them right there. And you're just like, oh, I hope they come backstage afterwards. We just had Catherine McPhee came in this afternoon, and we all got to have photos with her afterwards. It's fun. They want to come back and meet the cast, because they've had a great time, but we just want to meet anyone who's famous. It's just really cool. You get to meet famous people and go to their houses for dinner.
You know, that raises another interesting question. So you did Mary Poppins, you were Bert 8 years in total, and you said towards the end they were looking for anything, the dog walker, whoever.
Yeah.
Do you know in your head around what point does that buzz start to fade a little bit and you're looking for those other things? Because I imagine with this show, it's going to be around for a while.
Well, this show is just so uplifting. And the fun thing for me in this show is nearly every character is high energy, high stakes, bam, bam, bam. Whereas I'm that one character that's like, anyone says something fun and positive, I'm like, I'm that guy. I have all the one-liners that are like, no, rubbish, shut up. You know, so it's fun to be that guy. But then it's also fun that all the way through the show, I'm trying to get noticed. I want everyone to realize that I have talent, I have worth, and I keep getting shut down every time I try to sing a song. And so the middle of Act 2, when I finally get to sing a song and it turns into like the biggest Broadway number you've ever seen in your life, it's so nice to act that sort of, they understand me, I've got what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end, it's all a dream and I'm back to like, but so it's really cool to play the grumpy guy, but have one little burst in the middle of Act 2 of utter joy and fulfillment, and then back to...
It's unbelievable.
It's
Well,
great.
let me ask you something. You know, let's go back a minute because I'm really curious about your journey to Squidward. How you got involved, how you found out about the role, what your initial thoughts were when you were like, talking.
Well,
octopus.
you know, when I first auditioned for a workshop, I think 3 years ago, and it was just called the Untitled Tina Landau Project by then. Tina Landau is our fantastic director and creator of this version of SpongeBob, which is very different from the TV version, you know. But my agent was obviously like, it's SpongeBob, they're just not announcing that. Because they were still at the stage of, will this work?
Right.
Is there a creative, amazing director, this was Nickelodeon saying to the world, that can bring SpongeBob to the stage, but not in a version that could be seen at a theme park. Right. They did not want us all zipped up in big cartoon costumes. Thank God. I mean, I wouldn't have gone to the audition if they said, oh yeah, if you get the role, you're going to have a big nose, you're going to be zipped up in a costume and walking around and not be seen. You know, the fact that they said, oh no, it's very avant-garde and very, she's making like human versions of these cartoons. So I walked into my, well, first of all, I was up for Squidward, okay. I haven't really watched SpongeBob, so I'll binge watch. So of course I binge watched about 10 episodes before my audition. Tried to get the accent, because also we're actors, we're not impressionists. Right. You know, so it's like, oh, I've got to try and do this voice. And then I loved that the minute I walked into the rehearsal room for the audition, Tina Landau was like, I don't want you to be Squidward. I'm not expecting you to do a perfect voice. I want you to be, she always says she wants our characters to be the DNA of the cartoon, but we're humans. She's like, I'm trying to make this work, that we're living in a town called Bikini Bottom. Yes, it's at the bottom of the sea, but you're humans, and you're living a human real life, and that's what we need to bring onto the stage. So that, as an actor, you're like, oh great, I haven't got to do a carbon copy of Roger Bumpus, who does the fabulous voice on the TV. So I did my version. And then all the way through rehearsals, she'd be like, okay, drop out of the accent a bit. Lose the voice, because at this point, a lot of the times in the show, Squidward talks to his dead mother. And it gets quite emotional at times. And you don't want to just hear this voice all the time. Because then all you're hearing is this kind of annoying, nasal quality voice. So she said, drop out of it. And she does that with Ethan, who plays SpongeBob a lot, you know, because SpongeBob has this cute but / annoying voice. And for a 22-minute episode of SpongeBob on the TV, that's great. But for 2.5 hours on a Broadway stage, you're like, okay, I get that you can do the voice. So he, as well, it's like Tina would say, drop out of the voice a bit and make it more human. And so that was really nice.
There's a video I saw that you'd done a little while ago where they do a profile on you and the character, and you commented on how when coming out of Penn Station, you run into a couple of thousand Squidwards every day, which I thought was very funny.
Well, the thing about being an actor on Broadway is, especially when you live out in New Jersey, you're getting the train. When you're walking up from Penn Station to Times Square, everyone is walking down because it's at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Right. And it's constantly like this. And people just want to get home. I can understand, because at 11 o'clock at night, I just want to get home. But yeah, you're trying to swim upstream to Times Square, and so when there's 1,000 Squidwards just like barging their way to Penn Station because they want to get home and have their dinner and watch TV.
Was that part of for you sort of finding your Squidward was like a people watching aspect of like observing? Okay, now I know that we're all humans. That's what this focus is. So let me observe humans. Let me observe curmudgeon-y humans. Let me find the Squidwards of the world and use that.
I felt very lucky that nearly every line I have is curmudgeonly and like negative. What I really wanted to do is, even though Tina said you're not that character, I desperately wanted people my physicality to seem like the cartoon, which of course, okay, he's an octopus. Right. He's not a squid, in case you... I didn't know this till I got the job and I went, oh, I'm playing a squid. And people are going, well, no, actually, you're playing an octopus. If you read, the original, so he's an octopus called Squidward. And you're like, well, how do I be a human octopus? So I worked in the mirror in the studios so much on kind of like my silhouette. Like, if you turn the lights on, it's just silhouette. How do I look like Squidward, the cartoon, but as a human version? I'm very lucky that I have these 2 extra legs.
I wasn't going to bring them up.
Well, yes, you were. Of course you were.
I made it 10 whole minutes without mentioning the legs. You should be proud.
No, I'm so happy that David Zinn's fantastic design of the costume. Really, most of the characters, they don't really look like the cartoon. They perhaps wear the clothes that the cartoon wears. But they felt for Squidward, because obviously randomly he's an octopus, but he only has 4 tentacles and then 2 tentacles. So he only has 6 tentacles, but he's an octopus. So I'm very glad that they decided you need to have these extra 2 legs. Yeah. And so then to work in the mirror and make these 2 legs look as real as possible, and I wanted them to look as equal as my real legs. Right. I didn't want it, because in Chicago in the tryout, they made these legs and we thought they were great. And then I looked back on some footage of it and I'd see that, but you can see they're the fake legs. Because they didn't hinge in the right place. They kind of came out of my lower butt. And really we realized, well, they need to come out of where my hip is, where my leg starts bend. So we spent a lot of time with the designer making new Broadway legs. And my aim was to always on stage look like if you could turn my torso 180 degrees, you would still think the fake ones were my front legs, which of course are the real ones. So.
Oh, I was fascinated by half the show. I was standing there trying to, there's a hinge there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's connected to his feet. And then when you start dancing in them, oh man, I almost fell out of my chair. Talk to me about, how much did you have to relearn of like what you've done for years? Because now you've got these appendages attached to you, which I think you said they weigh 60 pounds? The Broadway ones?
No, they don't weigh that much, but they're heavy. They're a pain, and I have to put them on for the tap number because the dance number is the tap number. So I take my shoes off, and the fake shoes are attached to my real shoes. So I take them off. My dresser, who's Patty, fabulous, she rips off the fake shoes with fake feet in. So it's like they attach at the ankle, and then she puts the tap ones on, and then I have to walk up a flight of stairs to get to the stage. And just walking up a flight of stairs with that little bit of extra weight of the legs, and the tap shoes are heavy anyway; they've got metal attached to them. I certainly get a workout, and. Me and Chris Catelli, our fabulous choreographer, obviously had never tried to tap dance with 4 tap shoes on before.
I think anybody has.
And he was, I think it was the first. He was very gracious he let me go off into a rehearsal room on my own and just try and work out what noises you can make with 4 tap shoes. And I came back with like what I'd worked out, and he's tweaked it or changed it or kept it. And that's how the number then evolved, and the big tap break that I have in the middle sort of evolved from what are the best noises you can make when you've got 2 extra taps on. And I very quickly learned that if you're kind of sloppy with your tap, the sloppiness and the bounciness makes the back taps make a noise as well. So it's about just like being sloppy into the ground, and then the back ones kind of bounce and then make the noise. But it's been a challenge. And it's weird, like for Mary Poppins, if anyone saw that 11 years ago, we had a fabulous tap number called Step in Time up on the rooftops. And I had this great gimmick where I tap danced up the side of the wall and tap danced upside down on the proscenium arch. And then doing this one, it's with extra legs. So it's kind of like, you got to get a gimmick.
Yeah.
Upside down or with extra legs. Like what next? Being shot out of cannon? I don't know.
Well, next show, 6 legs, upside down. We're going to do all together.
Juggling fire.
Yep, that's the show.
That's fine by me.
We're gonna, in just a second, we're gonna turn it over to the audience Q&A because we've got a bunch of super fans here. I'm really excited to give them a chance to ask some questions. But before we do, talking about the fan response and all that, what's that been like for you? I talked to Ethan was here back in December and we talked a little bit about it. But like to see these hand-drawn cartoon versions of human versions of the cartoon, like it's been fascinating to watch all these wonderful things. What's it been like to see that response?
I think SpongeBob, the Broadway musical, has had 2 very hard tasks to overcome. The first is, and I was kind of in that camp when I heard it was happening as a theatre person, and I think a lot of the theatre people are like, what is SpongeBob SquarePants? That cartoon on Nickelodeon, what's it doing in a Broadway theatre? Yeah. And also, there's the major SpongeBob fans that are like, this sounds like the worst idea in the world, to take my beloved cartoon and try and put it on Broadway. And I know we have certainly won over the SpongeBob fans. They love it, and immediately, as soon as all the characters are kind of introduced within the first 3 or 4 minutes, very quickly, for people that haven't seen the show, because you don't have to have seen the SpongeBob or be a fan of the cartoon to love the musical. And I love that immediately, most nights we get a round of applause just because of the character we are playing. And the fact that I think immediately within 5 seconds of seeing, David Zinn's creation, costume design for that character is that, and the audience go with it. And the SpongeBob fans are quite happy with that. And those fans that like to do fan art have drawn SpongeBob for years, and now they get to draw the human versions of them. And I've never known anything like it. To get all this fabulous artwork that comes to stage door. It's great. I've got so many up on my dressing room wall, and it's so much talent. It's so much talent, and it's not just paintings and drawings. It's 3D. It's like models of me, and people are like, those bobbleheads. There's someone who makes the bobbleheads, but the person gave me it. They went, I've never had to make extra legs on a bobblehead before. They've normally just painted them adapted for whatever Broadway character they're making it for, but. It's been amazing. The fans are amazing. Social media fans just love it. And I do believe also slowly it's taken time, but the theatre fans, when they are dragged to it because they don't think it should be on Broadway, I guarantee they leave spreading the word that, this isn't that cartoon on stage. I like to say, this is a fabulous 2.5-hour Broadway musical with a full-on story and amazing imagination and creativity on a stage that happens to be loosely based on that TV cartoon. That's the best way to say it.
Absolutely. And I'll even say, like, I was in the camp of big SpongeBob fan, and I wasn't like sacrilegious. I was just like, this is an interesting decision.
Is this gonna work?
And I'll tell you, I was sold within about, 4 seconds of walking in the theater. When you see the attention to detail, the love and care put into the entire space, then you see the band, you see this, and you're like, all right, they know what they're doing. This is gonna be good times.
Yeah.
And it's sure enough, less than a minute into the show,
in previews, we didn't know what our critics were going to be like, and we very lucky we got amazing reviews. And even 4 or 5 months later, with all the awards, we were like, we could be poo-pooed. All the voters could go, no, we're going for the more highbrow stuff. And the fact that we got so many nominations, it just, I think, proves that this show is worthy to be at the Palace Theatre on Times Square and to be up against all these other great Broadway shows this year.
It really, well, we could applaud for that, because this is, I could say it all day, but I'm going to let them tell you how great they think this show is. We've got some microphones in the room. We're going to turn it over. Our first question's coming right here in the front.
Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to know, how much of your own personality do you put into Squidward?
Do you know what? I bet if there was a poll in the theatre, they'd be like, well, who is the kind of, not grumpiest, but the guy that doesn't really join in with everyone as much is probably me. But no, that's not a sad thing. That's kind of a choice.
Okay.
And it's not because I love this cast. This cast is fantastic. But, and this is a bit of an excuse, but most of the dressing rooms are down in the basement.
Okay.
And I'm up like a kind of stairwell with a couple of other characters. But also, I'm the oldest person in the cast. Okay. So there's a lot of, I don't want to sound patronizing, but there's a lot of kids in the show. They're not kids, they're all in their 20s, but they're, I'm the only one, like there's 2 of us that are married. I'm the only one that's married with 3 kids. So they all go and do Broadway bowling and things like that. And I'm like, no, I'm going home. I'm up at 6 o'clock with my baby, So I'm just kind of in a different period of my life than most of the cast. I love the cast. So yeah, I'm the most Squidward cast member anyway, so it's lucky I'm playing that part.
Did you bother asking anybody why they put the oldest guy with the most legs in the farthest away room upstairs?
Well, no, actually, that's another reason why I don't get to mix as much with everyone, is because when anyone comes off stage and they haven't got a quick change, which is most of the time, they can quickly race downstairs to the dressing room. They all congregate in the boys' dressing room and have a laugh before the next scene. I can't do that because I can't actually go up and downstairs. To go downstairs, I have to walk backwards downstairs. And at the Palace on stage right, which is the only time I have to go downstairs, it's a spiral staircase, of all things. So I have to go back down and turn my fake legs like earlier than I want to step, otherwise they hit the side of the stairs going down. So when everyone, like during BFF or numbers where it's just a few people on stage, everyone disappears. And I am left on stage because so it's good for my character because I'm like, oh, they've all gone. I'll just sit and watch BFF for the 1000th time and be negative about it. And then they all come up for the next scene and we all go on stage again. So I get left in the wings a lot.
As you're going down that staircase, is there a stage manager with a clipboard going, careful, 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 careful?
No, do you know what? Do you know what the good thing is? Legs always get right of way. If anyone sees me going up or down, that spiral, they're like, oh, legs get right of way, and they have to back down and go. And I'm like, sorry, guys.
Oh, that's fantastic. We got time for a couple more. Next one's right here.
Hey, Gavin.
Hi there.
We'll see you this evening.
Woo! Have you not seen it before?
We have.
You have? Oh, good. We love people coming back.
We've got very good seats this time. You'll see us again. Don't worry.
Does that mean front row?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to know what your kids thought of the show.
Well, my kids, they've been 3 times. Not my youngest, I've got a 14-month-old, but my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old, they couldn't believe their luck last September when the cast album was released. They saw it in Chicago once, but my son was like 3.5 by then, so he was just too young. But my daughter loved it, and she came and saw it twice in Chicago, so they couldn't wait for it to happen again. They've seen it 3 times, and the 3rd time we splashed out on the house seats because I think we got some freebies near the previews, and they were up the back, and then they were in the mez, and so we splashed out when all of my wife's family came from the Midwest, and they were in the 3rd row. And my wife was like, the difference, I mean, all the seats are good. You get a real different perspective all the way around the theater, but if you can afford the expensive seats, because the set comes out kind of into the auditorium and it's very high and a lot goes on, it just makes all the difference, especially for a kid. Yeah, so my kids just love it. The soundtrack is on all the time. Alexa, will you play? Da, 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 da. Luckily, they don't play I'm Not a Loser quite a lot because you don't really want to be narcissistic and listen to your own voice all the time. So, but the album is on all the time. They love it and they're gagging to come back again. And like, well, Daddy has to save up the money for another 3 tickets.
It's amazing. We've got, what's that, one more? We're going to do one more question, and it's coming from, this is an online one.
Hello.
Can I take an online question?
Yeah.
Lisa wants to know, what's your favorite thing to do on your day off?
Well, on my day off, do you know what's very hard about a Broadway schedule? We have a joke at work that whenever someone moans, you go, hashtag Broadway's hard, which of course it isn't because we're on Broadway, and so how dare we moan? But the one thing that is very hard for a dad is the schedule, because we have 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday shows, and that's when my kids are off school. And so on a Monday, I always just make sure as soon as I pick my kids up from school, we're doing something fun, whether it's the park or it's usually the ice cream parlor. But my day off is kind of spent with my baby because I give my wife the day off from looking after the kids all the time because I'm always at work. So it's spent with my kids. It's spent with my kids and making sure I'm focused on them for my day off because I'm away so much, especially at the weekend.
Do you have like a favorite, like, oh, it's Daddy Day kind of activity, like a play, like you go to a park, you go to a thing, what's like a thing?
It is normally pick them up from school and it's walk down to the ice cream parlor or the froyo and have as many toppings as they want. The gummy bears and the nerds and whatever. So it's like, it doesn't matter. It's my day off. It's the day I can kind of treat them because I'm around.
That is the sweetest thing in the world to end this on. Yes, we should all be awing right now. Gavin, one, I got to let you go. You got to go do a show. But two, we're out of time, so I guess it works out. But I could not be more grateful that you carved some time out for us to come and hang out between your gigs today.
I love coming to talk about this.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on all the nominations. The best of luck. Not that you need it. We're all rooting for you. If you haven't yet, get tickets. Go see the show. What are you waiting for? Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise, please, for Mr. Gavin Lee.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.